right, cut that out. Welcome to the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio. I am an idiot and had a little bit of technical difficulties. So I have to check real quick to make sure that the stream is still going. So bear with me a second while I try to fix my blunder here. Let me make sure that we're actually live. All right, and that y'all can see me because I don't think y'all can see me. Here we go. Okay. I can be seen. Audio's good. Okay. Oops. Let's turn the light on, if you will. Somebody turn on my damn sports bar light here so we can get this show going. What's up, everybody? I am the actual King Smith, and this is the sports bar here at WTF Nation Radio. Had a bit of a blunder right before I went live as I forgot to plug in my internet cord and was wondering why it was telling me that the signal was trash. And I realized it right as this pretty face was going to go on air. If you don't know who I am, I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran here at the Sports Bar, and I normally have a co host with me, but we had a lot of changes tonight. All right. So let's start with change number one. Coach, who's normally my co host, the man behind the fence, had an obligation come up, as one tend to have. So I'm solo tonight. I, I end up having K Mills on my live stream last week, and he was a great co-host. I almost said show host. Great co-host with me, but I end up seeing the news a little bit too late in the game to try to get another co-host with me. So y'all got me for an entire hour tonight. Hour and some change. We'll see how long we have to go. There was a lot that happened in the sports world. There's a lot that's going on tonight. We've got NBA games. We've got the World Series happening after they had a recent 18 inning game four. I don't know if y'all stayed up to watch all of that baseball, but game five is tonight here in about an hour. There was a scandal that broke out last week, shortly after that rocked the NBA world the day after we went live last Wednesday. College football action, hockey's back. There's some WNBA news that I'm going to share because y'all know I have to cover the NBA. So let's get right into it here. Let's see if we got any early commenters here that are going to comment, and we'll get going. Let's check. Let's bring up the chat here. We got God Happened to Me's in the building that said, good evening. Hey, give me a thumbs up, chat. Somebody put something in the chat to let me know that the stream is going and that everything's good. Because one thing you're saying that I'm good, and another one is saying, "Bruh, you ain't live right now, so you might want to check your settings." So somebody, anybody, let me know that I can be seen, heard, because all the player wants to do is be seen and just be heard out here in these streets. I'm in a good mood tonight, despite the fact that I'm going to be furloughed tomorrow. Yes, I am a government employee and I might be furloughed tomorrow. And while some people look at that as good news, I like working. I love what I do as I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs. And as a veteran myself, it's nice to be behind the scenes to see how the sausage is made when it comes to what's going on, healthcare, news, benefits, and things like that. I work in IT. I work on the IT side. So any of y'all that might be watching at WTF Nation Radio and want to go, oh, King can help me out with my benefits. No, I cannot. I absolutely cannot. You have the same level of access that I have. Let me send a quick message out here just to double check because I still haven't gotten any text messages yet. You know what? Let's do this live on air. Let's do this live on air. I'm going to make a phone call to our station manager here. Let's see how he picks up. Let's see how he picks up. Hey, station manager, I need some backup. Can you double check that I'm live? I am. I've asked the chat to see if anybody can verify that I'm live, and I haven't gotten anything yet, so I just want to be sure. Okie dokie.
Let me see if you're live on WTF on YouTube. 'Cause that would be the.
That'd be, yep. Somebody
Yeah.
give me a thumb. Okay, here we go. We got David. Okay, you know what? I think we're good to go. I got a test from David Cunningham, and we got all right. Folks are commenting now. Hey, station manager, thank you. This is CQ of Pop Culture Warrior helping me out, y'all. Hey, man, I appreciate you. All right, peace. Okay, all right. Whew, we are live. Good. Okay, let's get right into it. Let's get into one of the first things that I like to cover here, and that is oh, nope, not that one. Back that up. That's for later. Hey, here we go. All right. So we have a WTF Nation Radio Listeners League in which I got skull drugged by a team that came into the week at 3-4. None of my players on my team did anything, and I got steamrolled by Dream Machine. Team Radar, who was last year's darling, is not doing too well this year. His highest player only put up 20 only put up 25 and a half fantasy points in our NFL Listeners League. The problem that I'm having with some people, and the reasons why I'm a little bit frustrated, is that I love doing fantasy football, but I need for people to manage their lineups. If there's people that I don't believe are going to be managing their lineups, on one hand, you say, well, King, why are you worried? If you're playing against somebody who's not going to manage their lineups, then that's the easy win for you. Yes, but that takes all of the fun and the trash talking out of it. All right. Spanky's Tacos Eaters, you were doing well at the start of the season. You've been losing games because you haven't been setting your lineup. I put out two reminders, one on Thursdays and one on Sundays, to remind people to set your lineup, as we do have something for the winner here. Reminder, the winner of our WTF Nation Radio Listeners League is going to win a $50 Amazon gift card and a pair of Jordan 1s shipped right to your doorstep in your size. So set your damn lineups, all right? We got Riley Reed's option gave Pop Culture Warrior the biz. Pop Culture Warrior started 6-0. Started 6-0 in our league and have lost two straight. I think I feel the pressure coming up for Pop. I think we're back. I don't know where I dropped off at. My internet was having issues earlier today, and it seems like it might be having issues now. But we're going to try to get through this show. This week, I play Pop Culture Warrior. Pop Culture Warrior, we should put something on this. And as a matter of fact, what you got going on this Sunday, my man? How about we make it a thing? I come over Sunday, we watch the games. Let me double check that I can do that here. Yes, it looks like I can. So, hey, CQ of Pop Culture Warrior, let me know what you want to put on this week's fantasy football. This is potentially for first place on the line. I think you're at the top, tied at 6-2. Let me double check here. Yep, you are at the top. There's three other teams that are 6-2. I'm 5-3. Is there another 5-3 team? Hurt So Good is 5-3. And only the top four teams make it to the playoffs. So let's wager something. I don't know if you're still listening. Let me see if I can go back to the chat here. Let's see if you're paying attention. See if we could wager something on the line here. Let's see. How about the loser has to make a video on WTF Nation Radio saying that the other person is better than them in all things fantasy football. Let me know if you heard that. If not, I'm gonna send it to you. And let's see if you and I have a deal. All right. Let's go back here. So that's one of the biggest matchups that we have in our fantasy league this week. Set your damn lineups up. There's a Thursday night football game going on tomorrow night. And let's see who's playing tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's Thursday night football game is my Baltimore Ravens playing against the Miami Dolphins. You got 2-5 versus Tua and 2-6 Dolphins. Now, if my Ravens can't win that game, I know it's an away game. That game is, let's see, right now, the matchup predictor over by ESPN Analytics have the Ravens favored to win by, let's see. Right now, the spread is 7.5 points. The current matchup predictor says that the Ravens are favored as a 63.1% chance of winning, with the Dolphins at 36.5. I don't know. 7.5 favorites is a big spread. The defense for the Ravens aren't necessarily what's been hurting them. It's the offense. The offense has been garbage, trash, if you will. But I'm still going to look forward to that game. We don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to be back and able to play tomorrow night. So we'll see. We shall see. But the game played at Hard Rock Stadium. Going to be a nice weather game. If you're down in Miami, definitely go check that out. That'll be a good game to watch with the weather. Thursday night evening. If you furlough, what job you going to that following Friday? All right. So I'll be looking forward to that. If you're not going to the game, then you could watch the game on Amazon Prime if you have Prime TV. Next up here, I'm going to showcase something, and y'all tell me what you would have done if this was you. Let me get my assistant to fix some things up here. So here we have for a championship race, in a race that went down to the wire, South Brunswick Vishnu Maharaj, and I know I messed his name up. It ended up catching up to Monroe's top runner in the final few meters of a race, leading to a physical finish that at the end, the South Brunswick runner Maharaj came out on top. Maharaj, who finished sixth at the GMC Championships, win his first conference title with a race of 16:13. But take a look at what the Monroe runner did, who was later disqualified. So he's honking him. They're cheering him. And you still lose. I like the person that was yelling, "You can't do that." Then he goes, "And you still lose." Let's run that back so you can catch it here. The guy started looking over his shoulder instead of just kicking it in and activating. The guy who was in the lead got worried. You could tell he didn't have enough in his tank to make it to the finish line. And he tries to cheat. And in him trying to cheat, he stumbles. And you still lose. I love it. I love it when karma comes and it hits people just like this guy who ended up getting disqualified anyway. So while he thought he had it, he ended up getting his ass hawked down and he got disqualified. That goes to show you, do things right, do things properly. Shout out to Spanky. Spanky's in the building saying howdy. Spanky, manage your lineup. Manage your lineup for your fantasy team. David Cunningham said, never. The Steelers own the AFC North. David, look, you're right. You're right. The AFC North is the Steelers to lose. The only way they don't win the division is if they lose it themselves. Because I don't see any other team in the AFC North doing anything to compete for that top spot. But what's that's going to tell you about the AFC North in general? That whoever's going to win the AFC North definitely isn't winning the conference championship. So I don't know if you're a Steelers fan, David, but it's going to be a cold day in hell if that Steelers team, you know what? Let me take that back. Once you get to the playoffs, everybody's 0-0 at that point. Everybody is 0-0 at that point. So you know what? There is a chance. There is a chance that the Steelers could indeed get out there and win. Said that your defense has issues. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Look, the integrity of the NBA has been slammed after a bombshell gambling scandal involving an active player, an NFL head coach, and the mafia came to light. The FBI and the CIA and all of the alphabet letters, not the CIA, but the FBI, because the FBI is foreign, the CIA, they look, or domestic, CIA looks elsewhere. I know this. Came out and highlighted some gambling scandals that definitely made people it's things that people know, but the way that some of this stuff came to light was baffling to me. In college football, we had one of the most unpredictable playoff scenarios in recent history. When you take a look at a lot of the teams that are predicted to make the initial top 15 that's going to come out next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. An SEC head coach got fired, and the buyout was insane. I thought that when Penn State's coach got fired, that was a high amount. What Brian Kelly earned for not doing well is insane. You got the World Series that we're going to talk about next is 2-2 after an 18 inning epic and a dramatic game 4. So let's get right into that now. Let's talk about the World Series. Where's my graphic at? Get my assistant to put up my graphic and we're going to get into the World Series. Boom. I don't know why my graphic looks like that. I mean, maybe it's because I'm golden and it is what it is. All right. But let's talk about the World Series. All right. Right now, it's tied 2-2. Game 3 was the most grueling 18 inning game that lasted 6 hours and 40 minutes. I don't know who stayed up for that. It certainly wasn't me. Freddie Freeman hit the walk-off home run to end the marathon game in the 18th inning, and Shohei Ohtani, the MLB's darling, had an incredible performance with 2 home runs and a 4 extra base hit, reaching base safely, a World Series record 9 times in a single game. In Game 4, Toronto showed incredible resilience by the evening, beating the Dodgers 6-2. Vladimir Guerrero hit a massive 2-run home run off Shohei Ohtani, who was pitching on a short rest. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox, you have the Game 5, which is a pivotal matchup that will send one team closer to a championship. Right now, we just came out the top of the first. Toronto got 2 hits, well, 2 runs, I'm sorry, and are leading in the first frame 2-0 over the Dodgers, who are favored to win this World Series and this matchup as well. If this thing gets back and it goes to a game 6 and possibly a game 7, I like the Dodgers as the darling, the favorite to end up winning and taking it all. However, the Toronto Blue Jays winning would be pretty good the for Canada as well. Canada needs a win. Besides their maple syrup, I don't know of a lot of good things that come out of Canada. Have y'all had Canadian maple syrup? That shit is good. I don't care what nobody say. Let me get away from sports for a second. Canadian maple syrup is off the chain. If you say, well, King, you over there making things up because maple syrup is maple syrup. I'm telling y'all, the shit's just different. I don't know what they sprinkle in the maple syrup up in Toronto, or I'm sorry, in Canada. It's just different. Let me know if y'all have ever had maple syrup from Canada before. Why is my Siri stop listening? My watch is over here telling me about Canadian maple syrup. I didn't ask you to give me information about Canadian maple syrup. But who do y'all have? Let me come in here into the comment section, see if we have anybody that has anything. Let's see. David Kelly said, speaking of Brian Kelly got a $54 million payout after being asked to resign from the head coaching job from the LSU Tigers. If you ask me to quit something and you're going to pay me, $10 million, just show me the door. Let me grab the stuff from my office, pack my box with whatever I came in with, and I will gladly walk out the door with a $54 million buyout. Gladly do it. You don't have to ask me twice. If you just started the sentence by saying, Coach Smith, if you walk out the door right now, we'll pay you 50 mil. And I'm just going to be like, all right, you matter. I don't think y'all understand how fast I would hit the door. Even after paying taxes, I'll be all right. David Cunningham said it'll be tough for the Dodgers to win in Toronto if they lose today. Yes. Yes, I agree with that. And that's why the Dodgers need to win tonight. They absolutely need to win tonight if they have a chance. Obviously, it puts them one game away, but at the same time, those two road games, if it goes into a game 6 and a game 7, could matter. Absolutely, 100%. Adrian Peterson is in the news again, and I don't understand why AP can't figure things out. But Adrian Peterson is in the news again as he got arrested. And we've got some video that's going to talk about it here. But let me find my show notes for this real quickly. Where'd I put my show notes at? Scrolling back, scrolling back. Goodness gracious. Where is it at? Do I got to do a control F? I might have to do a control F. All right, let's just play the video and then we're going to talk about it here while I find my notes. Here it is. Found it. The most recent arrest occurred in Sugar Land, Texas on a DUI and gun-related charge. This isn't his first time in cahoots with the law, as earlier this year in April 2025, he was arrested in Minnesota for a fourth-degree DWI after being clocked at 83 and a 55 and registering a blood alcohol content of 0.04. I do not understand why Adrian Peterson can't figure out that with his name and his star power, the man could have opportunities beyond the average person's wildest dreams. If alcohol is that much of a thing for him, AP, look, bruh, man to man, get your ass some help. I'm sure you have people in your corner, people that have likely told you, but maybe you just you think that you're too man enough and that you don't need help. I'm telling you, you need help. It wouldn't matter if the average person was in the news like this, but the fact that you have a name, anything you do, like the story that went viral a while back about the way that he, how do I say, disciplined his kids. Apparently, he took some discipline too far. You can't keep staying in the news like this, man. You're going to be bankrupt or worse if you keep making these type of decisions. And you're getting off because of your name. You're getting off because of who you are, essentially. But let's take a look at the most recent news that hit Adrian Peterson.
Former NFL running back Adrian Peterson has been arrested in Texas. The 40-year-old was taken into custody outside of Houston yesterday morning. He was arrested after he attended an NFL draft event for Vikings fans. According to jail records, Peterson faces DWI and gun charges. He played in the NFL for 15 seasons. He became one of the only 9 running backs in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards.
One of 9 NFL running backs to rush for over 2,000 yards in a season. You've got star power. People that are in your circle likely care about you, bro. You got to get it together. You have to get it together, man. There's nothing more that I can say to you, and I don't know you. You don't know me from Adam. My words aren't going to matter to you. But I'm going to tell you right now, if your ass get on the road drunk and you take the life of somebody who I know, you better run and hide. You better run and hide. And to the lazy ass district attorneys that won't prosecute this fool so that maybe he can get some help, I'm not know it because I don't want it to be perceived as a threat. I heard of a story today in which a guy got arrested for something that he reshared, and there was no way that it was a threat, but somebody with a hard on perceived it as a threat. So let me change my words up a bit. Be better. Be better. Adrian Peterson, that's really all I have to say, man. Be better, bruh. You have to. David Cunningham said, Aunt Jemima pancake syrup is much better than the Canadian brand. It is. I'm not saying that it's the best. It is fire though. But the Aunt Jemima butter, you can't beat that. Can't beat that with a stick. Can't beat that with a stick. All right, let me go back into my notes here, get back on track, figure out where I am at so we can talk about a couple of things. Let's go into a recap of last week's NCAA football action. Number 17 Alabama and the number 5 Georgia team survived. Hold on. Wait. Why are my Nope. My assistant messed up my notes here. Let me bring this back up. Goodness gracious. This is a struggle stream of a show tonight. Here we go. All right. First of all, Alabama won. Thank goodness that they won too, because I was sweating a little bit right there at the end. Indiana remains undefeated, continuing what is probably this year's college football darlings and one of the more surprising stories in the nation. Michigan and Washington are starting to surge, and I don't like it. But they are playing pretty dominant as they head towards the heart of their conference schedules, which most SEC teams now are are doing as well. This SEC play over the next couple of weeks is about to get real interesting for a lot of teams, and it is going to, how do I say this? It's going to show who the real contenders are going to be over the next couple of weeks. The first official college football playoff rankings are due to come out next week. And right now, the current projections still feature teams like the Ohio State Buckeyes, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia as the top contenders. LSU's loss this past week significantly impacts that picture. All right. As Brian Kelly got fired after a disappointing start of the season, the coaching carousel that is happening around the NCAA football right now is just like a revolving door. And you have to play well now to matter, especially in the era of NIL and the way that the college transfer portal is going to work. Now, I'm curious with names like Lane Kiffin, if he decides to leave where he's at and he takes the job over at LSU, which is a bump in prestige from where he's coaching now. That's the name that's swirling around. I would like it if Coach DeBoer leaves Alabama and goes to LSU and Coach Saban comes back. That's what I would like. If we look ahead at some of the Week 10 must-see games, probably the marquee matchup of the week, and I hate to even call this a marquee matchup, but it is. It's Penn State traveling to Ohio State. This is a game right here that's going to define the Big Ten season and potentially the national landscape. And it is definitely a massive road test for Penn State. But I don't see Penn State pulling out a win. Ohio State's been dominant on both sides of the ball, actually all phases of football, offense, defense, and special teams. I would personally like it if they won. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to see. Let me take a look at what the line is for this game. Got a couple of other good marquee matchups as well. Yeah, Vegas has this Vegas has this as a 20-point favorite for the Buckeyes. I just it's wishful thinking on my part. You got number 2, Indiana, traveling and playing against Maryland. If I didn't have plans for Saturday, I would go to that game. I would like to see if this Indiana team is as good as they are in person. Right now, they're favored to win by 21 and a half points. You got Notre Dame traveling to Boston College. A lot of the top teams are on the road this weekend. Number 7, Ole Miss is playing against South Carolina at home, in which Ole Miss is favored to win by 12 and a half. Let's see. Do I have any upset picks going into this week? I'm going to take a look here. I'm scrolling quickly. I think Texas Tech could lose to Kansas State. Right now, that's a 52.5 point total, with Texas Tech only favored to win by 7.5. I think from what I've seen from Kansas State could pull that off at home. That would be a good win for that team. Louisville plays against Virginia Tech. That's a 9.5 favorite for Louisville. Army plays against Air Force at the Air Force Academy, in which the Air Force Academy is favored to win by 1.5. Go Air Force, baby. Off we go into the wild blue yonder. Let's go. Most of the people that work at the station at WTF Nation Radio are Army veterans. So it'll be good to be back in the Discord chat, letting them know that they are not as good in football as we are. Navy plays against North Texas, and Texas is only favored by 6.5 points. Number 9, Vanderbilt travels on the road to play Texas. Texas is number 20. That game is going to be at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time Zone, and Texas is favored by 2.5 points. That is surprising to me. I've got my money on Vanderbilt to travel on the road and beat Texas. Arch Manning is not that good. That defense can be exposed. We'll see if I'm wrong. We will see if I am wrong. Speaking of Discord, I'm going to put a link into the chat here. Tonight, there is not going to be a smoke pit. So if you tune in to Radar for the smoke pit at 10 p.m. Eastern, he is not going live. Tomorrow, for Sergeant's Time, I'm going to put a link to join our WTF Nation Radio Discord. Join that Discord. We are active over there. Vet TV is going to give a premiere exclusive to our Discord community. So click on the link. The link is in the comment section. It is also in the description box for this live stream to join our Discord. We're trying to get that community built over there. All of our show hosts are over there as well. It's one of the easiest ways to get in contact and chat with anybody at WTF Nation Radio. So click the link to join. Tune in tomorrow during Sergeant's Time as well. Come and check out the premiere for Vet TV. If you are having issues with Discord, reach out. Somebody over here will definitely help you out. It's one of the ways that we can closely interact as a community with everybody. So join. Matter of fact, join and prove that you've joined, and I'll buy you a Starbucks gift card. How does that sound? Yeah. Got to give incentives for people to join. All right. So if you are the very first person that joins and prove that they join, will get a Starbucks gift card. I need the proof though. Send screenshots, something. All right. Let's see. Loose. What up, Loose? I appreciate you popping in. Said that our defense has issues. Are you talking about Texas? Are you talking about Texas? Because that defense does have issues. South Carolina let Alabama off the hook, man. You know what? I still got a little bit of PTSD from that game. I absolutely do. Texas plays Vanderbilt. That'll be interesting. Yes, I just talked about that one. Who will take the Penn State coaching job? I have not heard of the coaching candidates to take that. Lane Kiffin wouldn't go up there. He wouldn't leave the South. He's too much of a darling in the South to leave and go up there, it's going to have to be somebody that has a little bit of gravitas to them. I don't believe that they would take somebody that doesn't have a name or a resume behind them to coach for Penn State. But I know that people have been floating Lane Kiffin's name for LSU, or Lane Kiffin's name for LSU, but I haven't seen any of the names or who's looking at possibly taking the vacancy over there. The athletic director for sure is definitely going to do their due diligence, because um, I think that to take that job at Penn State, I mean, it's got some prestige to it. So the AD is not going to hire a nobody. All right. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Let me get into my notes. The NFL. All right. Oh, man. What happened in the NFL last week? Look, the Ravens won. I'll take it. All right. The Chiefs returned to dominant form as they got out and they just beat the hell out of the Raiders, plain and simple. Aiden Hutchinson of the Lions got paid. Aiden Hutchinson has been reportedly agreed to a record-breaking contract extension for the defensive end, signaling the Lions' commitment to their defensive cornerstone. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. That dude is, when you just see the way that he talks, and how people talk about how much of a good-hearted person that he is, it's good to know that there are people like that in the NFL. Right now, the deal for the contract extension is going to tie him to the team through at least the 2030 season. It is reportedly $180 million in new money over 4 years, with a signing bonus of $15 million and an option bonus of $28.4 million in March. Hutchinson will reportedly earn $45.9 million between 2025 and 2030, with $55.7 million fully guaranteed in signing. I love it when good people get good fortune. So, Aiden, my long lost cousin, what's up, brother? Yeah. But no, seriously, congratulations, Mr. Hutchinson. It could not have happened to a better person, man. That is great news for you, boss. The NFL trade deadline is coming up, and it's been pretty silent. The biggest news that I've heard is a proposed trade between the Eagles and the Jets, swapping cornerback Michael Carter II and wide receiver John Mechie. That's it. That's all I've heard. The start of the season had a lot of people facing new teams and things like that, but there hasn't been any in-season trades that will typically happen that 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 gets people talking, right? Looking at some of the upcoming matchups here, again, we've already talked about the Thursday night game in which Baltimore is traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins. The Monday night game is Arizona, who's 2-5, playing against the Dallas Cowboys, who's 3-4-1. The Sunday night football game, we're going to see if Jaden Daniels comes back from his recent injury, as the 5-2, let me say that again, the 5-2 Seahawks are coming to town to play the Washington Commanders, who are 3-5. That's the Sunday night game on NBC. Any other notable matchups here to list? You've got the 5-2 Rams playing against the 1-7 Saints. The Saints are a team that has no identity. They will be at the bottom of the NFC South. That's 100%. There aren't any real a lot of the game. Look, if you want to bet, I think this week is a bet to be able to do a parlay with all the games. And I don't think there's going to be a game that is going to have an underdog win. The 7-1 Colts are traveling to Pittsburgh to play Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they could win that game. The Steelers actually could win that game. They lost to the Green Bay Packers 35-25 last week, and which was supposed to be the quote unquote the 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 return to for Aaron Rodgers to Lambeau Field to beat a team that he hasn't beat yet. He has beaten every other team but the Green Bay Packers because he couldn't get it done with the Jets. And this year, the opportunity and the time for him to do it would have been this first matchup here against Green Bay. Could it happen in the playoffs? Possible. Possible. I don't see it happening, but it is possible. All I know is my Ravens better fucking win this week. Otherwise, yikes. We got a couple of players coming back from injuries. Raiders tight end Bowers is ready to roll after his most recent knee injury. For the Commanders, McLaurin is out. McLaurin is out. And Jaden Daniels is in line to play. The Falcons are optimistic that Michael Penix will be able to return in time in their game against the Patriots. And the Saints plan to start Tyler Shaw for the rest of the season instead of Spencer Rattler. That is interesting. So the rookie is going to get the start for the rest of the season unless he just decides to shit the bed as well. The Browns should do the same thing for Shedeur Sanders. They're not playing for anything. They're playing for the top spot in this year's NFL draft. And right now, the Saints are fighting the New York Jets with that, who had their first win by a point over the Cincinnati Bengals. I know. That's why I was surprised that Coach wasn't going to be able to make tonight's show because I thought he would have definitely come on with a cigar lit and happy that the Jets aren't going to be one of those winless teams and go in the record books as one of the teams that can't win a game during the regular season. The NBA is launched tonight as well. Tonight's marquee matchup features the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are going to be without both of their star players, LeBron James and Luka. Austin Reeves have been one of the players that have stepped up and have played a major role into this team's short season so far. The Lakers are 2-2. I wouldn't be happy to see and go watch the Lakers play if Luka and LeBron weren't going to be playing. But maybe there is a James that is going to show up and show out today, as this could mean more minutes for Bronny James, whose nepotism still got him into the league and on that Lakers team. I don't care what nobody say. I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm not. The kid's talented, all right? He's definitely more talented than me. I don't even know if I could jump and touch the backboard at 41 years old. And slimming down. I stepped on the scale at 270 today. That's a milestone. I'm gonna look to get down. Y'all gonna see a svelte King Smith in about a year from now. And all of the haters are gonna be quiet. Right now in the NBA, Houston is leading Toronto 121-110 under 5 minutes. Cleveland, with their injuries, are losing to Boston in the third quarter, 71-90. You've got Orlando traveling to Detroit, currently losing 74-84. It is halftime, in which the Atlanta Hawks are up over the Brooklyn Nets 64-51. Sacramento's playing against Chicago, which I'm surprised at this score. Right now in the second quarter, it is 51-44. And just kicking off the Indiana Pacers are playing against Dallas and the score right now is 7-9. We've got a couple of more games this evening in which New Orleans traveling to Denver. New Orleans still haven't won a game, and they're not going to win this one tonight. Portland is playing against Utah. I've already discussed the Lakers playing against the Timberwolves. And the last game to tip off, you got Memphis at 2-2 playing against the 1-3 Phoenix Suns. Now let's come in here and check the comment section before we talk about the last thing that I have to talk about here tonight. All right. We have David Cunningham says Sarkisian may need a job soon. Yes. Coach Sark. He would, you know what? I think Sark could be a good fit for the Penn State job that was vacated by Coach Franklin. Oh, yes, David Cunningham. Cam Scatterbo, the rookie running back for the New York Jets, is out for the rest of the season with a dislocated ankle. I had that video up, but I could not get it produced in time enough. Well, my producer couldn't get it produced in time enough to showcase. Cam Scatterbo was this year's player NFL darling, a man that ran with reckless abandonment. Anybody would have thought that if he would have gone out, it would have been due to a concussion or maybe his heart stopped because of how hard he would run into other grown ass men that are his size or bigger. But last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, Cam went up for a pass, and when he landed, him and the defender, they both came down, and Cam's ankle twisted in a way that ankles should not be twisting. And it was one of those that when I saw the video, I immediately was like, oh, they didn't show it on air. But if you went to X or YouTube, you could definitely find it. And it was a blow to who's been arguably the heartbeat of that Giants offensive room. Definitely the backfield. I mean, everybody was talking about, Cam Scatterbo. He brought a energy around that made you really like the guy and root for him. He had surgery today, and Cam Scatterbo posted on his X page, his official X page, that the surgery was a success, and he thanked all of the Philadelphia doctors for the work that they've done. And while his season is done, I really hope that his injuries can heal up and Cam can come back to be in full form going into next season. What does that mean for the Giants? Look, I don't think the Giants have a chance in hell of doing anything this year. They don't have enough. They're at the bottom of the NFC East at 2-6. Right now, it's the Eagles' division to lose. They're going to be the division champs, but it's still early. It's still early. A lot can happen between then and now. And really, when you take a look at the NFC East, when you look at just points for, points against, a lot like the team, the differentials are kind of there between them. Right now, the Giants' offense don't match what they give up for their points against, but they're there. The Detroit Lions, actually, I'm gonna say this here very publicly. The Detroit Lions are my favorite to win it all this year. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? When I take a look around the league, I like to see a couple of things. Who are teams not scoring on? And when you look, interesting enough, I think y'all will be surprised by this. Who do you think in the NFL this season, through 8 weeks so far, is the least scored on team? I'll give you a couple of seconds to put it in the chat. Do 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 do. Ba-dum 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 do 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 do. Alone ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum. If you said the 3-4 Houston Texans, you would be right. The Texans' offense have been what's caused them to struggle during their first couple of weeks, but they've figured some things out. They've put up 153 points this year and have only allowed 103. Second to them, and I'm doing a quick scan. Second to them at 103 allowed looks to be, I see a 117, which is the Rams, and they've put up more points. Their point differential is positive 58. So they put up 175. They've only allowed 117. That's good. That's good. All right. The point differential for the Texans is 153 to 103, which is 50. The largest by far, and I know that this is everybody's darling, but they can't sustain this, in my opinion, is the Indianapolis Colts. Their point differential is 116. They've scored 270 and they've allowed 154. That is next level stats. That's next level stats. I just really think that the Detroit Lions can win out of the NFC North and take it all. If you want to say my early prediction for the Super Bowl based on today, the Colts out of the AFC South versus the Detroit Lions out of the NFC North. That's my Super Bowl prediction. Producers, clip it. I should go see what the odds of that are and go put $50 on DraftKings Sportsbooks right now. Predicting what two teams are going to make it to the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I am going to do that as soon as we get off air. The Colts owner, Miss Irsay, has been down on the sidelines. She's been making waves on her involvement with the team, and a lot of people are attributing the success of the Colts to Miss Irsay, the Colts owner, for her involvement in what she's doing. She's down there, she's on the sideline, she's taking notes. She's got a headset on, she's hearing the plays, and she came out and talked about and said that if you're going to be an owner, then it should be important for you to understand and know all aspects. Who's getting the plays? Well, what are they hearing? How are the coaches relaying the information? How are the players receiving the information? She's taking notes on everybody, the sideline, the coaches, the players, the water boy, everybody. And she said that that's important because if you're going to be a top tier organization, then you should know how your dollars are going to work. And if you're going to be paying millions to people, they better damn well know what the program is. And I thought that that was brilliant. Now, how is that different from the Cowboys' Jerry Jones? I don't know. Y'all tell me, do y'all think that it's any different from how the Colts owner is handling things versus how Jerry Jones with the Cowboys is handling things down there? I'm going to give y'all a minute to write in the chat. I'm going to check my notes here, and then we are going to get ready to close up shop. Did we have anything else to cover? I did talk about the FBI scandal that involved Chauncey Billups, the Portland Trailblazers head coach, Terry Rozier, former Miami Heat guard, and I said former because he got suspended, and Damon Jones, who was a former NBA player and coach. Damon Jones was the one that was charged in both schemes, accused of both rigging poker games and passing on confidential inside information about player injuries and availability to bettors. Chauncey Billups was charged to a high stakes private poker game that was tied to organized crime. And Terry Rozier was charged on a scheme to exploit private inside information about players to win prop bets on NBA games. His was one of the most egregious because one of the allegations, including Rozier, involved him colluding with a crime group to fake an injury and remove himself early from a March 2023 game while he was with the Charlotte Hornets, allowing his associates to bet the under bets on his performance stats. Now, what I learned about that was interesting. When sports books see things that are like anomalies, which you have like a normal amount of traffic that they expect on, certain players and certain things. But then when you have a player like Terry Rozier, who in 2023, he He was a role player type guy. And then you have people bet the under. So let's say if the under was 8 points, 5 assists, and 15 minutes, right? And you would bet that he would play under that. If he gets injured or he takes himself out the game or he doesn't get those minutes, then chances are he's not going to get those points. He's not going to get those assists. And if you bet the under, you'd win. Well, the sports book noticed the influx of betting that went on him, and apparently they notified the NBA. So for those of y'all that don't think that these sports books and the NBA, NFL, and all of these major sports organizations talk to each other, they do. I knew that, but I didn't know to what extent. So they notified the NBA. The NBA did their investigation, like how these cops be doing, where they say that we conducted an investigation and found no wrongdoing. They conducted an investigation at the NBA. They found no wrongdoing. Terry Rozier was allowed to finish out the rest of the season. But what we noticed when I went back and I looked, he didn't get a lot of minutes going into the rest of that season. And then he got traded shortly after. Or he was on a new team, I should say, shortly after. So if y'all don't think that these players and these coaches know what the money line is, you're out of your mind. They do. That's why sports betting, it can be fun, but the integrity, I just don't think that it's there. I'm going to see if I can find the video real quick before I end the show, that when you looked at the poker game, I was fascinated by this. For the poker game, I don't think, let's see, is this it? Let me double check your note. This isn't it. In the poker game, they had these special glasses that could see the back of the cards. So if you were wearing the glasses, then you could look around the room and see what the cards were that you had and what everybody else had as well, and what was on the table before they got flipped. If you've got that kind of information, you can never lose. What I found interesting, and David Cunningham, get ready to give us our words to close out the show. What I found interesting about the FBI's charges is they named Chauncey Billups, they named Terry Rozier, they named Damon Jones, and they named 4 mob crime families. But they didn't name any of the crime mobs' names. And I'm going to take a look here right now to see if the FBI have any specific names. I just thought that it was interesting that they would name those players, but they didn't name any specific people from the alleged crime mob families. And look, for y'all crime mobsters out there, don't come for me. Do not come for me. I'm just reporting what the FBI is talking about. Let me see. FBI poker, gambling, crime. Let me see if this comes up here. Because 34 people got arrested. 34 people got arrested. 13 of the people were members and associates of New York-based crime families. But we didn't see the names of any of the crime mobs. And look, we wouldn't know some of the last names or some of the crime mob families I've heard of. And I wouldn't be messing with them. Somebody's about to go sleeping with the fishes so that they don't make it to a courtroom and this scandal gets a little bit bigger. That's all I know. All right. All right. We're about to wrap up the show. Let's see what we got here before we end. First of all, I want to thank everybody that commented. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Reminder, there is no smoke pit tonight. There is no smoke pit tonight. David Cunningham said that the Cowboys are just a write-off for Jerry Jones. and all Jerry Jones cares about is himself. That's not far. That is not far. All right. Let's wrap up the show here. David Cunningham said, "Great show today, King. Thank you, WTF Nation, for tuning in today. Sports fans, go Dodgers." As the government shutdown continues, check on your family and friends. They may need your support if you're well off, and have a great week. Hey, David, first of all, thank you. And David Cunningham brings up something good as well. Thank you to all 180, if I can do quick math, people who are watching live. I love that. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. There are resources out there. If you are a government worker like myself, there are resources out there for you. You might have to do the work to reach some of those resources, but they are out there. All right. If you lived through the last shutdown, and this is not sports related, but the last shutdown that we had when President 47 was President 45, that lasted 35 days. This one looks like it's going to beat that record. If you didn't learn from the 2019 shutdown to get your affairs in order, you're the dummy. I'm just going to say that publicly. I learned from that shutdown and fixed my shit and turned things around. Okay. So I'm not worried with this shutdown. I would like for it to end. It is very disruptive. And because I live in the DMV area, I see and I feel more of the effects than I think that the average person does that aren't around a lot of the federal landscape. Like if you're off the grid in Idaho somewhere and you're not traveling, none of this shutdown stuff is going to affect you, period. And I just got told to chill out. So I'm going to do that. Y'all have a great night. I am the actual King Smith. Somebody turn my sports bar light off. Boom. Y'all have a good night. Peace.